Hey, my name's Todd Mersch. I'm co-founder and Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Xcell Air. And Xcell Air brings unprecedented quality of experience to Wi-Fi networks as well as LTE small cells. And what I'm going to try to do right now is basically succinctly summarize in 5 minutes what I did for the last 9 months, or what our company did for the last 9 months. And whenever you're an executive in a company, especially a startup, you have a couple of strategic responsibilities in the first 6 to 9 months of the business. And one of those is to go out and make sure that you have a business opportunity, that your customers can actually make a business case for the types of solutions that you provided. So like I said, we've got Xcell Air. And one of the things we need to do is a business case, right? So that was the first thing that we had to do, and we knew we had to do that. In addition to building a company and getting the branding and all that stuff correct, we had to figure out if our customers could make money from our solution. The second thing we had to do was come in and make sure that our capabilities are viable and valuable, the 2 V's, if you will. And I'll get into what I mean by that. Now, the good thing was that we got out of that first 6 months, and it wasn't just interesting for us and for our customers and our investors, but we thought it was interesting for the market as well, which is why I'm here talking to you today. And what we found out from the business case is that MNOs could stand to make $18 billion, with a B, from more effectively managing Wi-Fi assets. And what I mean by more effectively managing, as opposed to treating it as purely as an offload and having other people take care of the Wi-Fi for them, really integrating it into the overall experience. And how did that $18 billion come together? So we asked a company called Real Wireless. Real Wireless is an independent consultant to do this work for us. Greater credibility. They have economists on staff, better than me doing that myself. So Real Wireless went in and they looked at the city of New York. And the city of New York. And they said, okay, if I had a mobile operator has 25% of the market share today and is currently using Wi-Fi for a baseline case, right? What would be the difference if they were to use Wi-Fi more effectively? And they saw 2 value cases from that. One is from cost savings. From a cost perspective, we already know that operators use Wi-Fi offload to save on transport costs. It's a more cost-effective technology in general versus expensive cell towers, things like that. So about 20% of the benefit came from cost savings. And that in New York, with 25% market share, was basically $70 million. Let's call it that roughly. The other 80%, and this was the thing that really caught my eye and why we decided to share this with the market, was from new revenue, which is about $300 million. That's a much better number. Now, where'd that new revenue come from? It came from being able to target more price-sensitive customers. So the customers that are churning to MVNOs, the customers that are going to upstart Wi-Fi first service providers, things like that. And they modeled a capturing of 3/4 of a point in the first year of additional market share, up to 3% market share in year 5. And that delivered a $300 million benefit. We scaled those results for the rest of the financial centers of the world, the other 10 financial centers. That's where the $18 billion came. So good news. There's money to be made for more effectively managing Wi-Fi. The second thing we had to look at, as I mentioned, was, is it viable and valuable? How do we do that? My engineering team is primarily based in Montreal, Canada. So what better thing to do than deploy our own Wi-Fi access points, our own Wi-Fi network? Even though we're a software provider, we took some commercial Wi-Fi, we put it out in our own labs, and test for a couple of things. The first thing we needed to do is see if we could use more effectively unlicensed spectrum. So what we found was that there are, in our area, we saw around 250 other Wi-Fi APs in the location. And what we found from those 250 Wi-Fi APs, and just sensing them and keeping track of what they were doing, was that 92% do nothing. It's a little harsh. 92% basically, when they boot up, they look around, they say, okay, what's the clearest channel that I can be configured on? And that's it. They stop doing anything at that point in time. So whether there's additional congestions, performance issues, quality of experience challenges for the person that Wi-Fi IP is servicing, they do nothing. The other thing we found is that up to 2 channels, or 2 by 20 megahertz, of unlicensed spectrum is available at any point in time. That's 40 megahertz of unlicensed spectrum. That's 25 HD videos streaming simultaneous. So what we found is that if you have a system like Xcell Air that can find these pockets of unlicensed spectrum and effectively reconfigure the network to take advantage of that, you have a huge potential upside in radio resource optimization. So what would I summarize? I'd say, one, if you're going to remember anything from the video, if I'm running out of space here, one, there is a business case. Two, it's viable to optimize. And I guess three, Xcell Air is going to play a really big role in delivering that value to the marketplace.